Hey there, everyone. I'm a career coach who helps people land high-paying remote jobs for the purposes of them being able to travel and have complete location and financial freedom. And for almost a year, I didn't have a job myself. But instead of spiraling, I chose strategy. I use the same exact Wonderwall working framework that I use to teach my clients to rebuild and reposition my career from the inside out. And guess what? I just landed a high six-figure, fully remote contract role. I'm working from anywhere in the world that I want, and I didn't have to downgrade my skills, my salary, or my standards to do it. I don't say this to brag. This is more of a blueprint. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly what happened, what it taught me, and why it made me an even better coach. If you're new here, I'm Christina. I'm a career and money coach specifically for high achieving professionals who want to land 100% remote, six-figure roles without giving up their high earning careers, draining their life savings, or putting their traveling dreams on hold. I've helped dozens of clients pivot into top tier remote careers while building real location freedom. So if you're ready to stop guessing and start leveling up your career and gain that location and financial freedom that you deserve, you're in the right place. Let's start by setting the scene. Last April, the economy is not that good. The job market's not like how it was back in 2021, even in like 2022. So the writing was kind of on the wall of my previous job. So I decided to leave it because basically with all my time off was better than if I were to get the axe. So I was interviewing a little bit beforehand just because, but honestly, I thought it would not be as long as it did. But yeah, that's what happened. I took some time off from job searching really vigorously as well because I was like, let me just enjoy myself. I had some savings and I was putting my all into my business lifestyle paragon, to be quite honest. But when the months started rolling by, and I was still getting interview requests very frequently, but after some months went by, I felt like a little bit of pressure inside because while I'm helping my clients and they're getting interviews and they're doing complete 180s when it comes to their careers, I was telling myself, how can I help others when I'm still job searching myself? How can I be a good coach if I'm still on the field, like the players? So I knew that my framework was working, but some things were just out of my control, but I didn't want to let that take away from the coaching. That's where I was coming from. So here's kind of where I stopped feeling bad for myself and started seeing what I was going through as like a benefit to my clients and to the people who I coach. It's kind of like when bad things happen in life, I'm like, oh, we're going to laugh about this in a couple years. And so that's how we're going to talk about that transition. I'm going to talk about using my own system, my Wonderwall working framework. My Wonderwall working framework is what I use for myself and for my clients to help them be the most competitive candidates that they can be. Especially in job markets like this and economies like this, everyone is qualified. Everyone has the degree. Everyone technically can do the job. But this is not the time to be like, oh, well, I'm really teachable. I'm a quick learner, blah, blah. There's someone that can do the job yesterday. So you need to be that top tier candidate. You can't just have a degree and be like, that's it. You can't just have a certificate and just act like that is sufficient. I teach my clients on how to really market themselves as a top tier candidate. I really help them niche down for the roles that they're applying to. So instead of becoming just like a drop in the bucket, they become someone that recruiters actually seek out to interview for roles instead of having them apply for millions of roles that just end up going into the abyss. I help them network so that way they get access to the hidden job market. And even when they're interviewing, I teach them how to interview for all different stages of the candidacy process, from the HR screening calls all the way into the top level, like final round C-suite type of interviews. And I help them negotiate their salaries and their benefits packages as well. So it's a fully comprehensive process. And that is the same system that I use on myself. I do want to mention that while it did take me almost a year for me to find this next job, I was very picky and I still had lots of options available to me. When I talk to a lot of people on my Instagram, Lifestyle Paragon, they say like, oh, I've been job searching for 6 months, a year, 2 years, but not a single interview. And if more than a month and a half is going by and you don't have any biters, that means something is wrong. And for me, that didn't happen. I was going on at least 4 interviews a month with different companies. I had at least an interview every week during these months. And I've even made it to the final round interview stages 3 times. And yeah, when you make it to that stage, there's not really much that you can do. I've even been told as feedback that they're like, you actually interview too well. We thought that you were using, because I have experience with AI, like not like a lot, but I work with it. So they thought that, oh, you must have used that experience to make an AI clone of yourself and answer the questions in real time. So that doesn't make sense. Anyway, I don't want to get into it, but that just shows how good I am at interviewing. That I was able to answer these questions right off the top of my head very thoroughly, that people think that it wasn't even real. The reason why I mention all these is that there's a difference between you trying your best, flailing on your own, to be quite honest, and not getting any results, not getting any interviews at all, versus my situation where I was going on at least an interview a week at these new companies and making it to 3 final rounds. Many of the companies that I've interviewed with, they've actually had layoffs since I've interviewed with them. So it's kind of like a blessing in disguise. There are some things that you can control, some things that you can't control. I helped myself and I help my clients control the things in their remote job search process that are within their control. One thing also that I wanted to highlight is the difference between interviewing everywhere versus the right offer. There are so many occasions where I turned down interviews, I turned down job offers because it just wasn't right for me. If a company was like, we did a little, bait and switch, it's actually going to be hybrid, I turned that role down because I was very picky. I wanted a 100% remote. That was the main thing that was important to me. And I also wanted the role to be 6 figures because, to be quite honest, with the type of career that I'm in, making 6 figures is not, it's not out of the ordinary. So that's just standard pay for what I do for a living. There are many places where they did a bait and switch and wanted to switch it to remote, so I had to decline. There was one company that I was so uneasy about that I thought it was a scam. I was like, even if I did get this job, I don't think I would feel comfortable giving them my social security number, doing all those HR onboarding stuff that you have to do when you get a job offer. So I took myself out of the application process, out of the interview process, jobs where they were abysmally underpaying. And even in this economy where people are really desperate for jobs, to be quite honest, I wasn't really desperate. I talk about this more on later stages of my coaching, but I also teach about financial freedom. I had a very hefty emergency fund that I was able to live a really good life on. So I wasn't in desperate need of a job. And when a job is paying at least 50K less than market rate, that's really disrespectful. I kind of let them know one time. I asked them about like the salary, and it was so underpaid. It was like something that someone straight out of college would make, not someone that's deep in their career with a master's degree. And I was like, is everything okay with the company? Are they going through financial troubles? Because why is the salary like this? And they had a little bit of an attitude. They're like, no, this is our market research. And I'm like, okay. And now I got a job that pays 60K more than what that job was paying. So it pays to be picky, but I really do want to highlight that difference between me interviewing everywhere, people who use my coaching who are interviewing everywhere, versus them choosing the right offer. It's easier to get a job that's hybrid. It's easier to get a job that's lower paying. But when you want a job that is high paying and also remote, you do have to recognize that will take a little bit more time. So now that I've discussed that, I want to share with you 5 mindset shifts that completely change everything. One is that results take time because they're built to last. My program, my signature program, I won't bore you with the details, but it's 6 months long. And a lot of people are like, well, I want a job now. I want a job yesterday. I've already been looking for 6 months, a year, 2 years for this remote 6-figure job. Hold your horses. Because even in the most optimal job candidacy process, where from the minute that they reach out to you, you don't even have to apply, the minute that someone reaches out to you on LinkedIn and invites you to apply, to when you sign on the dotted line, to the time that you actually start, that could be a 2-month, 3-month process all by itself. And I wanted to give my clients ample time with me to go through the whole journey together. And, that's just like in a great situation where that's one job that works out. You might get halfway through and then they go in a different direction. So you have to start over. So I wanted to give my clients time to work with me. 6 months is sufficient time to allow for a complete transformation, because when it comes to this type of personal finance and career coaching, especially if you want a high-paying remote career, these are the cream of the crop jobs. So you want to be a cream of the crop candidate. These skills that you're learning will last you for the rest of your career. Even if you don't want to be remote anymore, even if you want to completely change your job set, like what if you want to be a social worker, you want to do something like that, you want to give back to your community. I'll use that as an example. You still have to know how to network. You still have to know how to communicate your skills. You still need to know how to rise above the competition for people that have the exact same credentials as you. So because of that, these results take time. And this is all in a great situation, right? So imagine in an economy like this, in a job market like this, where jobs are super picky, there's so many ghost openings that don't even exist. People have lost their sense of common decency. So these results just take time, and you can be doing everything right and still not be getting the results that you want. You can be getting closer and closer, but it doesn't matter how good you interview if they already had in mind the CEO's nephew for the job and they just needed someone to legally avoid a mess. But what you can do is put yourself in a position where more and more companies are reaching out to you. So that way you don't have to put all your eggs in that one basket for a company that may or may not work out. That's the first mindset shift that I had to learn, that results take time because they're built to last you for the entirety of your career. The second mindset shift that I learned that completely changed everything is that coaches aren't perfect. They're proof. I really beat myself up a little bit because I thought that I had to be perfect for my clients, perfect for myself. How can I teach others when I'm not getting these results? But my results speak for themselves, because even though I wasn't getting a job offer, to make it to the final round interview more than once, I made it 3 times. That really speaks volumes about how I'm able to market myself, how I'm able to make it across all these different interviews where you have to interview differently. The HR screening is different than the behavioral interview, is different than a panel interview, is different than the final round interview with the director and C-suite level. So these things are proof of why my method works. Also, I was able to find a remote 6-figure job before in a better economy, so I could still do the same thing now. Might take a little bit longer, but I was still able to do it. And then lastly, I was able to do it even in this economy. And I think it made me a better coach. Why can't you learn from someone who has made mistakes, someone who has suffered a little bit? For example, if I'm looking for a workout video, I would love to see someone working out who has a body type like myself, not someone's like, here's how to lose 20 pounds in a month, who has always been small and slender their entire life. They don't know what it's like to struggle. So I'd rather learn from someone who has dealt with the same things that I have dealt with. So yeah, the second mindset shift that I learned was coaches aren't perfect, they're proof. So when you're speaking to me as a client and I'm coaching you and you're like, it's really difficult, I just want to give up, or there's no jobs out for me. Like I have heard it all. I have believed it. Well, not believed it. I have gone through that struggle. I've been so disappointed because to make it to the final round interview and to not get that job 3 times, like that does something to your spirit, like to your soul. So I get it. I can't wait to work with you, work with people that might be in the same situation and lead them to the other side because I've done it myself. The third mindset shift is volume is value. And I've talked about this a little bit before, so I'll make this one a little bit more brief. But the fact that I was getting at least 4 interviews a month, I was interviewing at least 2 times a week, especially in the high season when I was really putting effort into it. I made it to the final round interview stages 3 times. What that means is my stuff works. There's a vast difference between interviewing, making it to the final rounds, and just not making the cut versus having all of my applications go into the abyss. I would say that with my methods, if I didn't get an interview, at the very least, I got a rejection, which means that someone was looking at my stuff, because that's exactly what I teach about, especially the second part of my framework, which teaches about networking and reaching out to people. I always had eyes on my applications where that person reached out to me. They went into my LinkedIn inbox and sent me a message. Or if I applied cold turkey, I had someone that was from within the company that was able to look at my application, or I had a referral. So I say all that to say there's a big difference between someone in my situation, someone in my client's situation, where even if they're not getting a job offer, they're getting attention, they're getting interviews, they're interviewing at least 2 times a month at the very least, and they're getting to the final round stages, versus someone who hasn't heard anything. It's been a ghost town in their inbox for months and months and even years and years. So there's that. The fourth mindset shift was that my program works even when the market doesn't. I know it's very easy to brag about, finding a job when jobs were plentiful, especially back in like 2021-ish, where everyone was hiring. And so it's easy to be like, "Oh, I found this job, blah, blah, blah." But to find a job that is very highly coveted, finding a job that's remote, that's highly paid, especially in this environment where many companies that even used to be remote first are forcing their employees to go back into the office. There's layoffs basically every single day. Different industries that would never experience layoffs before are having layoffs. For example, federal workers that are now flooding the market because before they're their own separate entity almost. It's very different to still have these results when the market is just not in your favor. But I do want to restate that my program does work. For the things that you can control, that's what my program is for. So even if the market is bad, even if a job knows that they're never going to hire for this role, with the methods that I teach with my Wander While Working framework, it helps you avoid ghost jobs, avoid spam jobs. It helps you get discernment for what jobs to apply to. It helps increase your network so people are always looking out for you. You get access to the hidden job market. It helps you navigate and advocate for your worth, even in bad markets. And with this Wonderful Working framework that I use on myself, that I teach with my program, even in a bad economy, even when a company that I went to a final round interview stage with that ended up having layoffs a couple months later, it still showed me, it still was proof to me that, I still got it. I still know how to network. I still know how to get interviews at least a couple of times a month. I still know how to make it through all these different interview rounds. These are things that I can control. I've never had a problem with my framework. If I didn't get the job, I kind of knew that it wasn't on me because the reasons why people gave for feedback never really made sense. Like the one I was telling you about before, where they're like, oh, we think that you're AI. I'm like, how did I make it to the final round interview if you thought I was AI? Why don't you just cut me at the beginning? Or why don't you ask me more specific questions instead of the general questions that are easy to answer? So like, so in short, this program works even when the market doesn't. If you just rinse your hands of everything and throw up your hands, be like, you know what? It's the job market. It's bad, blah, blah, blah. No one's hiring, blah, blah, blah. I felt that way a little bit too when I was wallowing, but just like slap yourself out of it and not wallow because someone's getting hired every day. Make that person be you. Even when I got my job offer and I started my job, there's a layoff. For many different companies, you can take your pick. So do you want to be the person that's complaining and in a very victim mindset? Or do you want to be the person that's pushing forward and finding that opportunity to where when it does show up, they're ready for it and they're able to snatch that opportunity? So there's that one. And the last mindset shift is you don't need to be perfect. You just need a plan. A lot of people, I'm going to tie this back to people's qualifications for these roles because I'm seeing a mindset just in the atmosphere that is very harmful to people. This is not like how it was in the past where all you needed to do was get a degree and then you're all set for the rest of your career. Or maybe you got a certification and then that's it. The best example that I can give that talks about why this type of thinking is going against your goals and making it tougher on you is because even when you graduate from your program, like woohoo, you have a college degree, you have a master's degree, you have a PhD, you have something else. And when you graduate and they say, look to your left, that's my right. Look to your left, look to your right. Look at all these other students, blah, blah, your cohort. These are all people that you're in the job market with. And when a company is only hiring for one role, that means if you had a class of 200 people in your cohort for your master's program or something, 200 of y'all have the exact same certifications. On paper, you look the exact same. So why would a company give a job to person A over person B? That's where my coaching comes in. That's where my framework comes in because it's not enough. Especially nowadays, there are so many talented, degreed, certified, whatever you call it, type of people who have gotten laid off, who are in the job market that are competing for the same jobs as you, and who also want the very rare, coveted jobs that are 100% remote that will allow you to travel the world as you want and not have to rely on PTO or you have to make a big line item in your budget to travel. It just gives you that flexibility that you want, and it's still highly paid. You know how many few people get 100% remote six-figure jobs? So obviously people are going to flood to those roles. Any remote first company that has an opening, everyone's flooding to their application page like me, me, me. So what makes you different than everyone else? You don't need to be perfect because perfect, especially on paper with your qualifications, is not enough because everyone is qualified. Now you have to be competitive. And to be competitive, you need a plan. And getting a career coach is a plan because you're doing things that other people aren't. Other people are applying to jobs that go into the abyss. They never get a call back. They haven't had interviews in months and months. They've been on their remote job search journey for years and years with absolutely no forward progress. That's what everyone else is doing. And they're like, but I'm qualified. Okay. And they're complaining about it and not doing anything about it. But the people that actually win, the people that get those 100% remote six-figure jobs, they're the ones that are going that extra mile. They're the ones that are networking more, the ones that are continuing to invest in their career and not just their education. Because their education, like I completely value education. I have a bachelor's degree, I have a master's degree. I get it. But I recognize that my titles, like my degrees, taught me a skill that made me qualified to do a job. But now I have to work on myself to make myself competitive in the job market. So that way I can beat out all the other people that have the exact same degrees as I do. So again, you don't need to be perfect. Even if you don't have a certification, you just need to know how to talk about what you've done. You need to know how to talk about the accomplishments that you've done at your job and really make it crystal clear to employers, to recruiters, to hiring managers, to anyone that has the ability to give you the job that would completely change your life. You need to be able to communicate to them that here is why you need to hire me and me specifically. Here's the magic touch that I have that you can't get with anyone else. And that's exactly what I teach within my program. So those are those 5 mindset shifts. And what I also wanted to say to wrap everything up is my own search took time because I did not settle. I went after premium 100% remote roles with high 6-figure compensation in a market that's more competitive than ever. And I landed exactly that. I used the same Wonderwall working framework that I teach to my clients to generate interviews, at least multiple interviews every month, and stay top of mind for elite roles. For example, the role that I just landed that pays 6 figures, I didn't even apply to that role. They reached out to me. I didn't have to do a single application for that role. So if I can do that in this economy, imagine what I can build for you, because this is me also coaching myself. Imagine you having someone, an outsider, that's able to see it from an outside point of view and give you that specific help that will really help you push your search along in a way that your competitors aren't doing. Let's wrap this up. One thing I want to note is that I used to think that I need perfect results to be a credible coach. But really what I needed was proof that my process works even when life doesn't go as planned. So even when companies already have some like Nepo baby in mind, or a company is hiring, but then has a layoff a couple months later. So that means they weren't as financially secure as they were leading on to be. Those are things that are outside of your control, but the things that are within your own control, the things that were within my control, I knew that the proof is in the pudding. You don't get interviews every week for nothing. You don't make it to the final round interview stages for nothing, even for jobs that are very good. I was getting interviews for jobs that were still remote, still 6 figures. I didn't have to reduce my skills. I didn't have to go backwards in life and take a step down. So I just want to let you know that still making forward progress, that's all the proof that you need, not perfection. So yeah, this is a testament to how much work it takes behind the scenes to land a super competitive, highly coveted role that will allow you to live the way I do. As a digital nomad, I have complete and total location freedom, and I still have money in the bank. I'm not budgeting my way through Southeast Asia for a year and then have to go coming back home with my tail tucked between my legs because I used up all my money. I get paid every other week like everyone else, but I get to live my life as a full-time vacation. So if you're ready to stop settling and start stacking offers, apply now for my Wonderwall working program. But first, I think that you should watch my mini course. It's a free mini course, and it'll give you all the details about me, my story, my coaching, and especially my Wonderwall working program, which is a 6-month one-to-one coaching experience where I build your professional brand. I help you attract high-level remote offers and negotiate the salary and total compensation that you deserve so that you can live and work anywhere without compromise. And it'll also give you some next steps as well. So in the description box below, there'll be a link so you can watch it now. Like I said before, it's completely free. So yeah, let's go build the life that you actually want. If you like this video, please let me know in the comments. Make sure to like and comment and subscribe for more videos like this. And on platforms, I am Lifestyle Paragon. I'm Christina from Lifestyle Paragon, and I'm really active on here, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. Okay, bye.